With me now is the Director of Communications, Nick Smith, has joined me, looking up at this sculpture, Highland Reel looking down at us. What a beautiful little sculpture that is.
Yeah, he's looking down hoping that there's no rain, isn't he?
So, you're in control of the communications and all things Ascot. What's the news on the weather front?
Oh, we're expecting a bit of rain later on. I think we've been quite lucky, actually. We could have had an awful lot more rain than we were expecting overnight and this morning, and looks like all systems going.
But as a race, you must be so pleased to see the quality. And okay, maybe an outsider, but presumably you worked quite hard to get the Argentinian runner coming over, 60 Song, who cleaned up in South America.
Yeah, look, we're really pleased with the race this year. It's always a great race. I mean, whether or not there's a 3-year-old in it, but there's no doubt about it. When you have the champion 3-year-old, and I think Enable probably is the champion 3-year-old over and above the Colts this year, it makes the race. And when you have nobody looking to avoid it, like you've got Ulysses, Highland Reel, Jack Hobbs, a whole reel of these wonderful older horses, and of course, as you rightly say, 60 Song, who's a champion in Argentina, in South America. Don't forget, it's 119 rated. That puts him above horses like Idaho.
But, so it's very hard to compare. But are we being dismissive just because, you know, sometimes we say, well, South American racing, if he's got 119 rating, that doesn't come from anywhere.
Well, exactly. And the way that the races work is they are consolidated by the world's handicappers, so they are supposed to be able to put together figures that are equivalent in each country, which makes adventures like this possible. That being said, of course, this horse has travelled halfway around the world. No one from that country has ever done that before, so it is a huge ask, and that's why he's 66 to 1, 80 to 1. I mean, if the race was being run in Argentina, he'd be, you know, obviously these horses are superb horses, but he'd probably be a 10 to 1 chance.
Well, and obviously this is part of the QIPCO British Champions Series. We're at the midpoint. I think we're at race 19 of 35. We have Champions Day here at the end of the year, which has really taken on a life now, and it's an absolute fixture, and it's the perfect culmination for the Champions Series.
Yeah, so as you rightly said, this is the middle of the series. We had a big commemoration on Tuesday where we awarded the QIPCO Diamonds of Pearls Awards, which is the 3rd year we've done that. And this year it went to the 2001 winner of the race, the great Galileo. Great racehorse, even better stallion, something that we've started to do with QIPCO, and to mark the middle of the series. And we are now looking towards QIPCO Champions Day. It's a long way to go. Still a long way to go. Still got to get Goodwood and York and a few other things through. But once we're through there, we will all be back here in October, and hopefully with a lot of these horses that we're seeing today. And
obviously one of the things that you have done, and will happen again here, you've got the flexibility of keeping course options, you know, with the inside. So you are always looking, you know, sort of for the best ground available to make it a perfect ending to the season.
Well, yeah, well, that's right. That's right. So we didn't use it last year because it was an unseasonably dry autumn, and we don't plan to use it. We certainly hope to stay on the outside course, the regular course, if we possibly can. But what we now are able to do is pretty much ring fence that we won't have heavy ground. So if we're heavy on the regular outer course, we should be soft on the inner course. And that gives trainers and owners the confidence to plan to be here on the day. And the difference this year is that we have a contingency plan to run all 3 round course races on the inner course if necessary. So that's the Fillies and Mares, the Stayers race, and of course the Champions Stakes itself.
Now, I did mention you have an Argentinian horse, but at the Royal Meeting, we do have a lot of international horses. You clock up a few air miles on your travels to just spread the word. I mean, how pleased are you now, just looking about the Royal Meeting, that the Americans have now got it?
Yes, very pleased. I think it would have been helpful if one of the horses, other than Lady Aurelia, had been perhaps more competitive in the big Group 1 races. But I think, talking to Bill Mott and Mark Cassie and various others who were over Todd Pletcher, you know, they were pretty realistic about the chances of the horses that they had. They were Group 1 horses in America, but I think it's pretty obvious that you need to have a Group 1 plus turf horse in America, like Tepin, who was successful last year, to actually win at Royal Ascot. And this has given them probably the right marker to be able to go back home and think, right, what horses have we got to go to Royal Ascot with a winning chance now? And actually, if they haven't got those horses at that level, then it is best to wait. You know, we're not really in the numbers game. We're not chasing ticks in boxes. We want to make sure that the horses that come over are as competitive as they possibly can.
Well, leads me to Australia, Winks.
Yeah, well, she would be competitive.
She would definitely be competitive. Presumably, you will be trying, and if they see it in their agenda, we'd love it, because we all remember what a wonderful moment is when Black Caviar came here, and okay, it was one of the great dramatic moments in Royal Ascot history, her holding on.
It was one of the great moments, and it was the great week. Started with Frankel, and then of course ended with Black Caviar. And nobody who was ever here that year will ever forget how wonderful that was. We've had a few Australian horses run since Black Caviar. Brazen Beau's done the best. Was second in the Diamond Jubilee a few years ago, to undrafted from the States. But this horse would take that to the new level. This would be Black Caviar revisited. She would be a Queen Anne horse here, probably. You know, she's a mile, 10 furlong horse at home, but the sort of stiff mile track here is probably bang in her comfort zone. The conversations I've had so far with Chris Waller and the owners have been very positive. I mean, they have made no commitments. They haven't gone that far, but the race, the Queen Anne, is definitely in her provisional programme. It's a realistic option. They're very seriously considering it, and you know, it would be great to have the Australians back. I mean, that would be my one slight tinge of regret about what was a wonderful Royal Ascot is it has become strange not to have Australians. Who would have thought it?
Who would have thought it? Now, Nick, I'm very disappointed. You haven't got your Ascot hat on.
Okay, well, I noticed your Ascot hat as I walked over here, because I actually gave a little call to the shop and said, I think I need to get one of those hats for the King George. We've got Goodwood round the corner and everything. And did you pay the rack rate for that? Because if you didn't, then I'm going to have to make my own arrangements.
Let's put it like this. I'm just wearing it for today.
I'll have it for Goodwood then.
You work here full time. If you can't get one, then what the help's of the rest of us?
Integrity.
Oh, yes, yeah. Absolutely. But have a great day, Nick. And I hope the race is as good as it looks on paper, and we have a real treat. So sure, enjoy your air miles. Take one of these with you.
Yes, I will do.
They're very nice. Thank you. That's Nick Smith. But we're talking about the Royal Meeting. There were so many wonderful highlights.